I used to believe that love meant staying no matter what. That if you gave your heart to someone, they'd guard it like it was their own. I believed that for 7 years of my life, until I was forced to face the truth. My name is Jack. I was a quiet guy, the kind of man who didn't need much to be happy. I taught high school English. I loved simple things: coffee in the morning, books, long walks. And for years I thought I had a good marriage. Clara and I met in college. She was bright, bold, full of energy. She had dreams of traveling, starting a small business, living life big. I wasn't like that, but I admired her spirit. The first few years were good. We laughed, we planned, we built a little world together. But slowly, something changed. I don't know when it really started. Maybe after our 5th anniversary. Clara began staying out late, saying she was meeting friends from work. She started dressing differently, spending more time on her phone. She'd smile at me, but it didn't reach her eyes. And when I asked if everything was okay, she'd brush it off like I was being dramatic. I didn't push. I thought maybe she just needed space. I kept doing what I always did, making breakfast, packing her lunch, listening when she wanted to vent. I tried to be the calm in her chaos, but deep down, I felt her slipping away. And I kept telling myself it was just a phase, that love would bring her back. I was wrong, so painfully wrong. It started with fatigue, not the usual kind from work or stress, but the deep, bone-heavy kind that made even getting out of bed feel like a task. I ignored it at first, blamed it on work. But then came the pain in my chest, the strange bruises on my arms, the sudden weight loss. Something wasn't right. Clara barely noticed. One evening, after coughing up blood, I finally went to the hospital. The tests came fast and hard: blood work, scans, biopsies. And then, in a white room that smelled like antiseptic and silence, a doctor sat across from me and said, "Jack, it's leukemia." Everything blurred after that. I nodded, like I understood. But I didn't. All I could think was, how was I going to tell Clara? That night I sat her down. My hands were shaking as I told her the words no husband ever wants to say. "I have cancer." She stared at me, expressionless. No tears, no questions, just silence. Then she said, "We'll figure it out." But there was something in her tone that didn't sit right with me. For the next few days she was distant, barely spoke, avoided eye contact. And one morning I woke up alone. Her closet was half empty, her ring was on the nightstand, and all she left behind was a text message that read, "I didn't sign up for this." I stared at that message for hours, hoping it would change, but it didn't. That was it. 7 years, gone in a sentence. The first day of chemo, I sat in that cold hospital chair alone. The nurse tried to smile, asked me if someone was coming to pick me up. I just shook my head. "Number, it's just me." I couldn't bring myself to tell her the truth. That my wife, my supposed life partner, had walked out on me the moment things got hard. That she chose comfort over commitment. That she left me when I needed her the most. Every needle prick, every drip of that medicine felt heavier than the last. Not just because of the physical pain, but because of the emptiness I carried in my chest. I looked around the chemo room, saw people with their spouses, their kids, someone holding their hand. I had no one. Nights were the worst. The silence in the apartment screamed louder than any pain. I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our marriage, trying to find when I missed the signs. Was it when I worked late? Was she unhappy for a long time? Or did she simply not love me enough to stay? Friends checked in. Some brought food. But no one stayed long. No one filled that hole Clara left behind. And though my body was fighting cancer, my mind was drowning in rejection. Still, I got up every day. Still showed up to treatment. Still fought. Because some tiny part of me believed maybe she'd come back. Maybe she was scared. Maybe she'd remember the love we had. But weeks passed, then months, and Clara never even called. It was a rainy Thursday when her name finally popped up on my screen again. After nearly 3 months of silence, no texts, no calls, not even a "how are you?" Clara finally messaged me. For a second, my heart raced. I thought maybe, just maybe, she regretted leaving. Maybe she realized how much we meant to each other. But when I opened the message, it hit me harder than any diagnosis ever could. "Hey, Jack. Just wanted to check in. I hope you're doing okay. I know it's been hard for you, but I think it's better this way. You're stronger than me, and I just couldn't watch you suffer. I didn't sign up for this kind of life. I hope one day you'll understand. Clara." I stared at it, numb. My hands shook, but not from the treatment. This was something else. Anger, abandonment, disbelief. I didn't sign up for this. That sentence echoed in my head like a curse, like our vows meant nothing, like love had conditions I wasn't told about. It crushed me. Not because she left, but because she left when I was too weak to even stand up for myself. And now, she wanted closure without facing me. She wanted to clear her conscience while I was still picking up the pieces of my body, my mind, and my heart. I didn't reply. I couldn't. What do you even say to someone who walks away from your darkest hour? That night, I cried for the first time since the diagnosis. But it wasn't because I was afraid of dying. It was because for the first time in my life, I realized I was truly alone. After Clara's message, everything inside me went quiet. I stopped hoping she'd come back. I stopped checking my phone. I stopped believing in things like forever and loyalty. I just existed. My body was weak, but my mind was worse. I'd lie on that hospital bed staring at the ceiling for hours. The nurses would smile gently, asking how I was doing, but I could never tell them the truth, because the truth was, I felt like a ghost in my own life. The treatments were brutal. The side effects made me feel like a stranger to myself. Hair fell out in clumps. I couldn't taste food anymore. My muscles ached even when I was still. But through it all, I kept pushing. Not because I wanted to live, but because I didn't want to let her be the reason I gave up. Every time the pain hit, I pictured her words. I didn't sign up for this. And that kept me going. Not in a hopeful way, but in a defiant one. I told myself, if this is the end, it's going to be on my terms, not hers. One night, during another sleepless stretch, I looked in the mirror. My face was pale, hollow, sunken, but in my eyes, I saw something I hadn't seen in months. Fire. That was the night I decided to fight. Not just the cancer, but the version of me that let someone else's betrayal define my worth. If she could walk away from me, then maybe she never really saw who I was. But I did, and I wasn't done yet. Months passed. The chemo sessions got longer. The recovery was slower, but the fire inside me didn't burn out. It grew. One morning, Dr. Patel came in with a look I couldn't read. My chest tightened. I braced for more bad news. But then he smiled. "Jack, the cancer's in remission." I blinked at him, not believing it. "What?" "You fought like hell," he said, gently tapping my shoulder. "And you made it through." I didn't cry. Not right away. I just stared out the window, watching the sun spill into the room like it was touching my skin for the first time in years. I had won. Not just against cancer, but against the part of me that wanted to give up when she left. I checked out of the hospital a few weeks later, weaker but alive. I moved in with my sister for a while, Emma. She'd been quiet during the worst of it, but always present. Silent support, the kind that doesn't leave you when you're no longer strong. Emma was the first to say it. "She didn't deserve you, Jack." And for the first time, I believed that. I began rebuilding my life slowly, day by day. Morning walks, reading again, cooking simple meals. I even started therapy because surviving isn't the same as healing. And one day, out of nowhere, I laughed again. Like really laughed. It wasn't forced. It wasn't just polite. It was real. That's when I knew I had truly survived. Not just physically, but emotionally. But just when I thought Clara was gone for good, she came back. And nothing could have prepared me for what she said next. It was a rainy afternoon. I was just getting back from a follow-up appointment when I saw her. Clara, standing by my porch, holding an umbrella and a paper bag. She looked thinner, tired. Her eyes weren't the same. I froze. My chest tightened, not out of love, but confusion, anger, pain. Everything I thought I'd buried came rushing back. "Jack," she whispered when she saw me. "Can we talk?" I didn't respond, just unlocked the door and stepped inside. She followed. We sat in silence for a minute. Then she said the words I never expected. "I'm sorry." I stared at her, dead in the eyes. "Sorry for leaving? Or sorry for how you left?" She looked down. "Both. What I did was cruel. I panicked. I didn't know how to handle the thought of losing you. I thought walking away would hurt less." "Less for who?" I snapped. "You left me when I couldn't even stand on my own, when I needed someone just to sit beside me and let me feel like I wasn't dying alone." Her eyes welled up. "I regretted it the second I walked out, but I was ashamed. I kept telling myself you'd hate me if I came back." "I did," I said quietly. "For a long time, I did." She placed the bag on the table. "I brought your favorite cookies from that bakery downtown. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just needed to say it, because you didn't deserve that kind of goodbye." I looked at the bag. I hadn't had those cookies in over a year. But more than that, I looked at the woman in front of me. Not the one I once married, but the one who broke me when I needed her most. I didn't know what to feel. Relief, closure, fury, maybe all of it. And then she asked something I never saw coming. "Do you think we could try again?" I looked at her. The same woman who once held my hand through the happiest days of my life was now asking to come back after walking away from my worst. For a few seconds, I actually considered it. My heart wasn't made of stone. A part of me still remembered how it felt to be loved by her, but another part, stronger, colder, remembered waking up alone in that hospital bed, reading that heartless text. I didn't sign up for this. That sentence burned in my mind. "No," I said calmly. "We can't try again." She blinked, stunned. "Why?" "Jack, I know I hurt you, but..." "You didn't just hurt me, Clara. You abandoned me. When I was fighting for my life, you gave up on me. Not once did you call, check in, ask how I was doing. You didn't even say goodbye properly. You ran, like a coward." Tears spilled down her face. "I thought I'd lose you anyway." I nodded. "And now that I survived, you want back in. But I'm not the same man anymore. Cancer changed me. Pain changed me. But more than anything, you changed me. I loved you," she whispered. "You loved the easy version of me. The healthy, smiling, working version. Not the broken one. Not the one who needed help to walk. I deserve someone who doesn't run at the first sign of hardship." She broke down. I stood up and opened the door. Not with anger, but with finality. "I wish you peace, Clara, I really do. But we're done." She looked at me one last time. I saw regret in her eyes, but I didn't feel sad. I felt whole. She walked out quietly, and I closed the door. After Clara left that day, I didn't cry. I sat on the couch for a long time, thinking about everything we had been through, and everything I had been through alone. I realized I had survived not just cancer, but heartbreak, abandonment, and disappointment. I started focusing more on myself. I went to therapy, not just for the illness, but for everything I had buried emotionally. I talked about the betrayal, the loneliness, and how I never really got closure from Clara until now, and it helped. Slowly, I picked up my old camera again. Photography had always been my escape before life got too heavy. I started taking pictures of little things: the sunrise from my porch, children laughing in the park, old couples holding hands. There was something comforting about capturing moments that still had beauty in them. I even joined a cancer survivor support group. For the first time, I didn't feel like I had to hide my scars, inside or out. I shared my story, and they listened without pity. Some of them had similar stories, loved ones who left when things got hard. But we were all still standing. We were warriors in quiet ways. One day, after one of those meetings, a woman named Emily came up to me. She was a survivor too, and there was a calmness in her eyes I hadn't seen in a long time. "You have a strong soul, Jack," she said. I smiled. It took a while to find it. And that was the beginning of something new. Not rushed, not dramatic. Just two people who had been through storms, learning to walk again in the sun. A year passed. My body had healed, and so had my heart in many ways. I still had rough days, moments when I'd randomly remember the text Clara sent, and it would sting like a fresh wound. But now, the pain didn't control me. It reminded me of how far I'd come. I didn't see Clara again after that last meeting, but one day, I got a message from an unknown number. It was a photo, a childhood picture of us on the beach. Under it, she wrote, "I hope you're doing better now. I think about you every day." I didn't reply, because by then I had learned that some things are better left unsaid. Some chapters close themselves, even when you wait for an ending. I had spent too long mourning someone who left me at my weakest, and even though she regretted it, I didn't owe her my pain anymore. Emily and I started spending more time together. She wasn't a replacement. She didn't try to fix me. She just walked beside me. No promises, no expectations. And that was more healing than anything. One evening, we were sitting on a bench near the lake. The sunset painted the sky in soft orange and blue. I told her everything about Clara, about the cancer, about that awful night I found the text and fell apart. She just listened. And when I was done, she said something I'll never forget. "You didn't deserve what happened to you, Jack. But you deserve this peace. You earned it." And for the first time, I believed it. This was my story. Not of sickness, not of betrayal, but of survival.